You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. Welcome to our news. The headlines. Magistrate David Simusamba subpoenas doctors over Kambwili's COVID-19 results. 20 nabbed over examination malpractice. CTPD says Zambian economy not favorable for the relaunch of the national airlines. In international news, Africa to get 220 million COVID-19 vaccine doses, WHO. And in sports news, 6 impressive youngsters promoted to the ZESCO United first squad. For the details, to join me shortly after this break.
Msika is here. We have you all covered with just 150 kwacha. You can advertise every day from 17 hours to 18 hours. For a 30-second ad, get the benefit of selling your products and services on Msika. For more details, call our marketing department on +260 953 995099 +260 962 444-726 or +260 971 177 467. Email us on info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you a filmmaker? Well, you are exactly what we are looking for.
Camnet TV is calling on local filmmakers. For more details,
You can visit our headquarters in Ibex Hill, next to Hilltop Hospital.
contact us on
0962 444 726. Camnet TV.
not just another channel.
With the details, my name is Liseli Kanyanga Muvanga. Lusaka Principal Resident Magistrate David Simusamba has summoned Roan Antelope General Hospital Acting Medical Superintendent Dr. Chimensa Mwansa to explain the process involved in testing of COVID-19 samples. The summon came after Kambwili's lawyer Musa Mwenya informed the court that his client's COVID-19 test results to ascertain his current COVID-19 status are not yet out. This is in a matter in which opposition National Democratic Congress leader Tshishimba Kambwili is accused of forgery, uttering a false document and presenting false documents to a public officer in line with the incorporation of Mwamona Engineering and Technical Services Limited. When the matter came up for presentation of Kambwili's COVID-19 test results as ordered by the court in the previous court session, the defense lawyers said they had made every effort to have the results delivered by today, but the doctors of Roan Antelope General Hospital in Wansha on the Copperbelt province said the results can only be available after 2 weeks from the date of testing. The defense further told the court that Kambwili was retested on the 1st of September this year and doctors could not commit themselves to any date for the results, but only said due to their bureaucracies, the results can only be after 2 weeks. It was at this point that Magistrate Simusamba issued a summon to Kambwili's treating doctors to explain the procedure involved in issuing results and how long they take. The matter has since been adjourned to Tuesday, September 8th, 2020 this year for explanation of COVID-19 testing procedure, and September 15th for the continuation of the defense. And moving on in other news, the Emerald and Small Scale Mining Association of Zambia has expressed concern over the happenings in Chingola with regards to the small scale miners, commonly known as Jerabos. Association President Victor Kalesha says it is unfortunate that the liquidator at KCM is disadvantaging the Zambians empowered by government. He says the reports on the ground are that KCM is giving preference and priority to international multinational companies in processing the dump site materials at KCM instead of availing the same opportunity to Zambians. Mr. Kalesha says the association is surprised to learn that companies like Mosako Resources is processing copper from dump sites, creating an impression that they are mining. He has, however, noted that the association is mindful and appreciative of government in trying to create opportunities for them in various communities through empowerment schemes, including the mining sector.
The Center for Trade Policy and Development would like to urge government to undertake a comprehensive due diligence exercise on Mopani copper mines. This should be done with an interest to uncover that ZSMIH will not be inheriting liabilities, but also it's important that the government undertakes a technical diligence exercise to uncover that the reserves will be of sufficient magnitude and quality to support the mining operations over the life of the project.
Meanwhile, CTPD Executive Director Isaac Maipopo tells Camnet TV News that the Zambian economy is not favorable for the relaunch of the much-awaited national airlines. Mr. Maipopo says the proposed launch of the airline is not viable given the fragile economy, stating that going ahead with it might end up subjecting the country into more debt and economic misery. However, government has remained optimistic about the relaunch, which has been so far postponed 4 times. The airline will be 45% owned by the Ethiopian Airlines, and with the balance held by the Zambian Industrial Development Corporation, an entity which aims to promote private shareholding in state-owned businesses. Under its development plan, the carrier will operate 20 aircrafts by 2028, which will be transporting 1.9 million passengers.
Shift the risk to the private sector that will actually pump in their resources to run the national airline in partnership with government, of course, but the shareholding will have to shift. You have to have more shares shifting to the private sector and government retaining a very small shareholding so that we do not pump in a lot of resources into a venture which is very risky. If you look at global developments, a number of airlines are actually closing down. They're having serious challenges in terms of operating, and as much as we might want to see this as an opportunity, we also would want to caution the government that the consequences might actually be dire on the part of the Zambian government, especially when it comes to debt. Debt is already impacting negatively on our ability to effectively respond to the development challenges in our country. Our education sector is suffering negatively. If you look at the infrastructure, like more recently, government has been rolling a program that targets to support e-learning in a number of provinces, especially rural areas.
Meanwhile, the Center for Trade Policy and Development, CTPD, has advised government to trade carefully in its agenda to take over Mopani copper mines by first undertaking due diligence exercise to verify technical and financial facts on the ground. CTPD senior researcher Webi Banda notes that Glencore PLC, currently the main shareholder, has actively financed the sinking of a new shaft, which clearly shows that government needs to ascertain that the reserves are have sufficient tonnage and quality to sustain operations when ZCCMIH eventually takes over the mine. Mr. Banda notes that the mining industry is loaded with information amnesty, which is essentially means that mining companies have a greater leverage over the information pertaining to their projects, both at financial and operational level. CTPD has therefore stressed the need for government to undertake a financial and legal investigation to assess properly the risks of the acquisition and ensure that it will not be inheriting liabilities which could place ZCCM-IH in a precarious position. The Zambian government has announced its strategy to increase its equity stake in Mopani copper mines through ZCCM-IH.
The Center for Trade Policy and Development would like to urge government to undertake a comprehensive due diligence exercise on Mopani copper mines. This should be done with an interest to uncover that ZCCM-IH will not be inheriting liabilities, but also it's important that the government undertakes a technical diligence exercise to uncover that the reserves will be of sufficient magnitude and quality to support the mining operations over the life of the project.
The Examination Council of Zambia, ECZ, has apprehended 20 people in Lusaka, northwestern and eastern provinces for suspected forgery and impersonation during the ongoing General Certificate of Education GCE and Grade 9 examinations. ECZ Corporate Affairs Officer Nicholas Nkua says this follows an intensive examination monitoring exercise at examination centers countrywide. Among the apprehended are 2 teachers, a 5th-year student at a non-university in Lusaka, and some candidates who were found writing examinations on behalf of other candidates using forged national registration cards, NRCs. Mr. Nkua adds that others arrested include 2 suspects believed to have been behind the production of the fake NRCs. He says the inspections are ongoing, but the apprehensions have been done at 9 schools, including Nyenyezi Secondary School in Lusaka and Shavuma Day in Northwestern Province. Examination started on the 31st of August 2020.
Examinations Council of Zambia is currently undertaking or conducting the GCE examinations together with the Grade 9 external examinations. So far, everything is going on well, but working with the Zambia Police, we've undertaken an intensive monitoring exercise. And from this exercise, we've managed to apprehend 20 people for forgery and impersonation. So during the examinations, we found some candidates with fake NRCs sitting for exams on behalf of other candidates. And this operation has been undertaken in 9 schools in Lusaka and Northwestern and Eastern provinces. And some of the schools include Nyenyezi Secondary School, Diana Kaimba, Roma, St. Paul's, we have North Mead, we have Kaula Day in Eastern Province and Chavuma Day in Northwestern Province. And all the suspects are aged between 20 and 46 years of age, have been put in police custody, and investigations are still underway. And as Examinations Council of Zambia, we want to ensure that exams are conducted in a smooth manner, and we are protecting the integrity of the education system in Zambia. So we are working tirelessly with law enforcement agencies to ensure that anyone who is perpetrating a malpractice is brought to book. The NRCs that we found with these candidates have been tampered with. This is where the picture on the NRC has been removed and replaced with another one of that candidate who is coming to sit for an exam on behalf of the original candidate. So this is how we are detecting that the NRC has been tampered with and someone is trying to sit for an examination on behalf of another candidate.
The public financial management consultant has observed that despite the Financial Intelligence Center, FIC, being a critical institution in the country aimed at enforcing prudent use of public funds, government has continued to poorly fund it. PFMG consultant, senior economist Bright Chizonde, says the lack of funding to the center has to some extent compromised the report in exposing cases of money laundering and corruption in Zambia. Mr. Chizonde notes with concern that the center disseminated only 44 intelligence reports to law enforcement agencies with suspected losses valued at 984 million kwacha compared to 6.1 1.1 billion reported in 2018 from 80 intelligence disseminated reports. Mr. Chizonde says the dissemination in 2019 were of low value related to those in 2018 and related more to individuals than cooperatives. The long-awaited Financial Intelligence Center's 6th Money Laundering and Terrorist Financing Trends Report for the year 2019 indicates that financial constraints limited the center's investigations.
The long-awaited Financial Intelligence Center's report for the year 2019 indicates that financial constraints limited the center's ability to investigate. The reduction in the number and value of intelligence reports analyzed has been attributed to unpredictable funding, which affected the center's ability to verify suspicious transaction reports and spontaneous disclosure reports. The Zambian general public should therefore not mistake the reduced value to mean that there has been a reduction in money laundering and corruption. In 2019, the FIC was limited by financial constraints and thus analyzed fewer and lower valued cases involving individuals. The FIC should be adequately funded in order to improve operational efficiency.
We now take our first set of commercials. Do stay with us as we have more interesting stories lined up for you.
I have used Oracle Pure Glycerin for 2 years now. It has really worked for me. It has cleared all the black spots on my face. It has restored my skin beauty. It also smoothens the skin. Try Oracle Pure Glycerin for perfect skin. If it's not Oracle Glycerin, then it's not Pure Glycerin.
Take control of your tax planning. Avoid penalties and interest. Returns and payments due by the 10th of the month for declarations of the previous month's transactions are pay as you earn and skills development levy. Returns and payments due by the 14th of the month are turnover tax, withholding tax, mineral royalty tax, tourism levy, gaming and baiting, presumptive tax. Returns and payments for all withholding VAT agents is the 16th of the month. Returns and payments for all VAT registered suppliers is the 18th of the month. Submit the returns and make payments on or before the respective due dates to avoid penalties on the late submission of returns and payments of taxes. Further, note that VAT tax invoices for all business-to-business and business-to-government transactions must bear the tip-in of the buyer without fail. Zambia Revenue Authority. My tax, your tax, our destiny.
Stay home, stay safe. Times have changed. With the advent of the coronavirus, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company would like to advise its esteemed customers to avoid visiting crowded places. You don't have to move to pay your water bill. You can do it in the convenience of your home. You can pay your water bills through Zanaco Zapit, Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and FNB. You can also use Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel Kwacha mobile money transfer services. For any inquiries to report a fault, please contact our customer service on +260 211 251 571, +260 975 618 618, and toll-free line 5957, Zamtel only. You can also simply email customerservice@lwsc.com. This public announcement is brought to you by the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Water is life. Sanitation is health.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. The Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, has reiterated its commitment to continue supporting Zambia's efforts in achieving food security in line with Sustainable Development Goals, among other agendas that Zambia is signatory to. This came to light when incoming Food and Agriculture Organization representative accredited to Zambia, Rose Percy Filippini, represented her credentials to the Minister of Foreign Foreign Affairs, Joseph Malanji. And Minister of Foreign Affairs, Joseph Malanji, says Zambia has enjoyed cordial relations with FAO and endeavors to continue on this path. He says Zambia's development blueprint, the 7th National Development Plan, seeks to diversify the country's economy through agriculture away from copper. The minister says government has been practical on this despite the minor challenges experienced in the last 2 years due to the effects of climate change.
Pleasure and honor and privilege to be in Zambia to visit a field. The Republic of Zambia is very important for the FAO. So on behalf of the FAO, Director General, and myself, again, I would like to thank you for having me here this morning to present my credentials. Let me take the opportunity to reiterate the commitment of FAO to continue supporting the efforts of the government of Zambia in favor of food security and nutrition in accordance to the Agenda 2030 and the SDGs and also the Africa Agenda 2063.
I would like to first of all warmly welcome you to Zambia, and as you may know, Zambia has enjoyed very good relationship with your organization from its inception and having an office in Zambia. In our 7th National Development Plan, we are trying by all means to run away from our traditional livelihood being on minerals, copper to be precise. We are actually trying to do the best we can in our diversification to go into agriculture.
And moving on in other news, Water Development, Sanitation and Environmental Protection Minister Jonas Chanda says government remains committed to improving the livelihood of the people of Muchinga province as evidenced by the investments in water and sanitation infrastructure and services. Dr. Chanda says government in partnership with cooperating partners through the Chambeshi Water Supply and Sanitation Company has embarked on an integrated small towns water supply and sanitation project whose aim is to address challenges of sewer network and inadequate water supply services in Nakonde and Pika districts. He says the project will involve construction of new water supply and sanitation infrastructure and will benefit 150,000 people. Meanwhile, the minister has further revealed that his ministry already prepared and submitted designs to the Ministry of Finance for the construction of a new water and sanitation infrastructure for Shiwangandu district in Muchinga province, which will benefit 70,000 people.
That are so advanced. The water reticulation system project in Chinsari is at 95% plus completion, and we're only remaining with 10 point something million kwacha. So that one should be a huge priority. The Minister of Finance has assured us, and I want to assure you that even His Excellency President Gachagua attaches great importance to water and sanitation projects. So this one is receiving the highest attention. In fact, the meeting that we had with the Minister of Finance was at the direction of the President. The President said this is so important to have, and it also expands your customer base in terms of revenue, because right now I don't know how many people are getting connected to water. It should be very, very few. How many customers do you have? 2,500 customers. Yeah, so 2,500. Once the project is completed, 150,000. So the numbers are huge. Yeah, and this is a provincial capital. The population will keep on growing. So we attach a lot of importance to Chinsari. A lot of it will be treated like all the other provincial capitals in the country, with its own fully fledged commercial utility housed in Chinsali, looking at the Omuchinga, and this water project completed. And we know that even the sanitation services in Chinsali are almost non-existent. The old ones have collapsed. So that is what we'll be working with our colleagues, like in the new projects, the integrated small towns water supply.
Health Minister Chitalo Chilufya has charged that the huge expense incurred by government on capital flights for people with cardiac conditions to be treated abroad will be a thing of the past. Speaking when he toured the newly constructed state-of-the-art Lusaka Specialized Hospital, Dr. Chilufya says government is committed to ensuring that people have access to health without leaving anyone behind. The minister notes that the hospital has state-of-the-art equipment with advanced technology, which he says will help build sustainable human capital.
Zambia, led by His Excellency Dr. Edgar Chagolungu, has been pursuing a transformational agenda in the health sector with a view to attain health for all universal health coverage. That leaves no one behind. In the past, we've been challenged by inadequate infrastructure and human capital to provide a certain level of tertiary services. We've had to refer patients abroad for any interventions in cardiology, in cardiac surgery. We have had to spend millions of dollars on a few patients, privileged, to send to Europe, to Asia, just to do certain services, and that only benefited a few people. Now, the transformational agenda that His Excellency President Lula has embarked on leaves no one behind. It addresses access to health services across the whole continuum of care. We've built health posts, mini hospitals, we've built district hospitals, we've built general hospitals, and this is a specialist hospital. The National Health Strategic Plan that spans from 2017 to 2021 identified one key legacy goal to address access to health services across the whole continuum of care. That is construction of 6 specialist hospitals. This is one of the 6 specialist hospitals that is a milestone that the government of His Excellency President Lungu has scored. The first cardiac specialist hospital. What is unique about it? One, it's a state-of-the-art piece of infrastructure. It is equipped with state-of-the-art equipment. We have the best human capital, Zambians who've trained in advanced facilities and are back home and providing the best services, not only providing services, but are also teaching, building a sustainable human capital program. This is a first. The equipment that you see here is equipment never seen in other hospitals. The equipment you see here is equipment that is modern. From the time you enter the hospital, you have the emergency department with a comprehensively equipped emergency department. You'll be able to resuscitate patients right from there. We have resuscitation equipment right from the emergency department. You will be able to resuscitate people with kidney challenges, people with cardiac challenges, with breathing difficulties, and you'll be able to do basic surgery right down there. It is equipped to that state. Furthermore, when you get back, you get into specific parts.
Meanwhile, Dr. Chilufya has warned people that have recovered from COVID-19 not to relax in the observance of COVID-19 health guidelines, adding that they are also prone to reinfections. Dr. Chilufya has noted with concern over the evidence of reinfection. He says people that have recovered should not be comfortable that they are immune to the disease but can still be infected again. The minister was speaking when he gave an an update of the COVID-19 statistics in the last 24 hours, where he has revealed that the country has recorded 116 new COVID-19 cases out of 1,400 tests done. He tells the nation that in the last 24 hours, no deaths have been recorded, while 10 people have recovered from the disease.
The COVID-19 continues to affect more people in the country. We note with concern evidence of reinfection with COVID-19 among people who have been discharged or who have recovered. This means that all that have been infected before should not be comforted that they are safe from the disease forever. Let us all continue to individually and holistically prevent infection from COVID-19 and indeed any other diseases. The best way to prevent illness is to avoid being exposed to the disease-causing agent. Now allow me to remind you that the disease-causing agent is SARS-CoV-2 and it is transmitted airborne. One, when you're in close contact with a person who is infected, and two, through those respiratory droplets produced when an infected person coughs, sneezes without covering the mouth, or talks or sings without covering the mouth. In the last 24 hours, we had 116 new COVID-19 cases out of 1,400 tests done. The new cases are picked from Lusaka, Chadiza, and Mambwe, and Ndola. Countrymen and women in the health facilities today, we have 44 patients admitted. 32 are at Levy, and 20 of these are on oxygen therapy, while the rest of the country have 12 patients, with 4 on oxygen therapy. Now, we have discharged 10 patients in the last 24 hours, and therefore cumulative numbers now stand at 12,659 out of 120,967 tests conducted so far. This includes 11,572 recoveries and 290 deaths. The deaths are classified as 96 COVID-19 related deaths, while 194 are COVID-19 associated deaths.
The government has given the clergy in Kitwe a 300,000 kwacha package to use for community engagements in disaster risk reduction and fight against COVID-19. Speaking when he addressed pastors from various denominations under the umbrella of Kitwe Pastors Fellowship at Oasis of Love Ministries International, DMMU National Coordinator Chanda Kabwe said the prevention of disasters and the fight against COVID-19 will only be achieved if all stakeholders, including the church, take an active role. He said the 300,000 kwacha will be disbursed in bunches of 50,000 kwacha monthly for a period of 6 months when the program will be reviewed. The national coordinator later handed over 2,000 bags of 25 kilograms milli-meal to the Pastors Fellowship for further distribution to their congregants. Meanwhile, Kitwe Pastors Fellowship President Bishop Randy said the gesture is unprecedented and the church will do its part in the fight against COVID-19.
Gave us a document, he gave me a document of how we want to engage the community in risk reduction.
Yes.
We don't want diarrheal diseases on the overload. Rain season is around the corner. We want people to be aware how to take care of themselves, how people to respond to COVID-19. And that document Bishop gave us, we've gone through it, we've agreed. As I'm speaking to you, it's now at the Ministry of Justice in the Office of the Attorney General to ensure that that is coming. So to begin with, Bishop Dewila, starting from this month, as community DMW, government through DMW, will start funding you 50,000 kwacha every month, starting with this month. For the period of 6 months, we are going to review it after 6 months. So from this month, you will receive 50,000 kwacha for community engagement.
For now, we take a break, but do stay tuned as we have international and sports news. Don't go away.
To create a positive difference in people's lives, one must first understand the way people live. At Savenda, we're here for our community, our partners, and our future, as a nation and as a continent.
Back in 1997, we decided we were going to create this family journey into a bigger opportunity, and created a business called Savenda, which meant save nations to develop Africa.
It's always important to give back to the people. The government cannot do everything, but as business entities, we'll be able to reach a lot of people.
From our humble beginnings in the telecoms and mining sectors, to our work in energy and development projects, we know how important it is to be true to our roots.
Our services have to be diversified so that we don't depend on one income stream. Back in the village, I was growing up hunting and doing everything that a village boy would like to do. When you're hunting, you don't depend on one trap, for example. You have to have many traps. So those survival skills brought into the business created opportunities that we learned from a young age that you can't survive with just one product. Savenda Group involves Savenda Management, which is a consulting, Savenda Express, which is a corporate branding company, Savenda Electric, which is a manufacturer of energy saving bulbs, Savenda General Insurance, which is a general insurance company, Savenda Fresh Produce, Cyber Africa, which is a center for just dealing with cyber security.
Now, Savenda is combining local knowledge with international expertise. It's time to be a part of Zambia's rising success and Africa's exciting future.
We are a gateway into Africa, and now we are praying with global companies who are coming to Zambia for opportunities and to look for companies that are homegrown, and we are proud to be one of those.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. In international news, the World Health Organization, WHO, says that once a COVID-19 vaccine is approved, Africa will get at least 220 million initial doses. The first bunch will be prioritized front-line health workers and vulnerable groups, according to the WHO African Program Manager, Richard Mihingo. He said distribution will be based on the population of each country. Mr. Mihingo said all 54 countries with a total population of 1.3 billion expressed interest in a COVID-19 vaccine. The Global Vaccine Initiative, called COVAX, intends to help purchase and fairly distribute 2 billion doses of approved vaccines by the end of 2021. We now get into sports news. Zesco United Football Club has announced the promotion of 6 young players from their developmental structures after impressing the technical bench during their trials, which were aimed at giving the youngsters a chance to play for the senior team. When unveiling the players, club's chief executive officer, Richard Mulenga, who was speaking with Zesco United media team, said the move is in line with the club's policy of giving chance to Zesco players in their lower ranks and not purchasing players from elsewhere. The promoted players include 18-year-old striker Emerson Kabwe and 26-year-old defender Gilbert Tembo, who were both playing for Zesco Malaiti Rangers. 18-year-old attacking midfielder Thomas Mubita, who was with Zesco Victoria Falls. Others who have been promoted are Victor Chanda and Mutale Sangwani. Zamfoot Sports reports that the players have since promised to give in their best to the club. Zesco have already commenced training in readiness for the coming season after they just finished the season without any interference. That sports item brings us to the end of the news. But before we go, a look at the headlines once again. In local news, Magistrate David Simusamba subpoenas doctors over Kambwili's COVID-19 results. 20 nabbed over examination malpractice. CTPD says Zambian economy not favorable for the relaunch of national airlines. In international news, Africa to get 220 million COVID-19 vaccine doses, WHO. And in sports news, 6 impressive youngsters promoted to the Zesco United first squad. The Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of 2 Timothy 1 verse 7, and it reads, "For the Spirit of God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-control." I have been your anchor, Liseli Kanyanga Mubanga. God bless.